Good afternoon. We bring to your attention a study carried out by a group of researchers on the topic Modeling the Content of Professional Training of Future Software Engineers in the Field of Parallel Computing. The purpose of this work is to create a model of the content of professional training of future software engineers in the field of parallel computing. The study tries to understand the place of the discipline parallel and distributed computing in the structural and logical scheme of training bachelors in computer science. In the process of studying parallel programming technology, a parallel style of thinking is formed, which implies the presence of abilities such as preliminary hypothetical parallelization of the assigned task, its analysis in order to select subtasks that can be performed in parallel, parallelization of data flows, selection of data flows that will be exchanged between subtasks performed in parallel, keeping in memory the actions of all subtasks in a certain time interval to properly manage their joint work. To achieve the goal, it is necessary to form the content of professional training for training future software engineers in parallel computing and, on its basis, develop a model of the content of professional training for training future software engineers in parallel computing, the recommended sequence of their study. To develop a model of the content of the professional training of future software engineers in the field of parallel computing, we first need to form the content of professional training for training future software engineers in parallel computing. For this, we will turn to international standards, namely the recommendation for studying computer science. Aspects of parallelism were first mentioned in the edition of Computing Curricula from 2001. In the most recent Computing Curricula 2020, Paradigms for Global Computing Education, the content of the sections of the field of knowledge parallel and distributed computing was significantly updated. In addition to the standard, a number of sources with recommendations on the composition on the subject area of parallel and distributed computing were used to form the content. In addition to the analysis of international standards for the training of future software engineers in the field of parallel computing, a review of the current state of professional training of future software engineers in parallel computing in higher education institutions of Ukraine was conducted. The educational and professional programs of the bachelor's level of higher education of the Higher Education Institution of Ukraine in the fields of knowledge 12, information technologies, as well as work programs of individual disciplines were considered. As a result of the analysis of these sources, the content of the professional training of future software engineers in the field of parallel computing and the corresponding trajectory of training in parallel computing were projected. Consistently applying the stages of system modeling to the content of the discipline parallel and distributed computing, we obtained its model. The model is a cylinder segmented into layers, each of which has a defined semantic load. The lowest layer is the area of supporting knowledge, which includes concepts and connections between them, necessary for a full understanding of the theoretical material. The wing layers of the concept cylinder are defined hierarchically. Blocks of concepts of the first level are a set of basic concepts necessary for mastering the concepts of the following levels. They reflect the main blocks of the level, each of which can be represented by a separate logic semantic scheme. Blocks of concepts of the second level serve as a support for building the content part of the next section of the curriculum. The blocks of concepts of the third level contain the material of the section within which the study of MPI, OpenMP, and CUDA technologies begins. The educational material of the fourth level of the model includes such basic concepts as the creation of communicators, the description and construction of data types intended for the user, etc. Based on the analysis of the model of the content of the professional training of future software engineers in the field of parallel computing, the following conclusions can be drawn. As a result of the formation of the model, the place of the discipline parallel and distributed computing in the structural and logical scheme of the training of bachelors in computer sciences was substantiated. It is the third course of study. Based on the results of the modeling of the content of the discipline parallel and distributed computing, a training program for the discipline parallel and distributed computing was formed and implemented, taking into account the third and fourth levels on the content model of the professional training of future software engineers in the field of parallel computing.